Welcome to Company of Heroes 3 Stress Test Mini Tournament. My name's Inuki, you're on the Ironcast channel. Thanks for sparing the time to observe the third and final match of this best of 3. Tonight, one commander will go and lose it all as per the tournament rules, be banished forever from playing Company of Heroes again. The other will go on to the finals, where they will have a chance to win. That's right, you've heard about it. All of the world's money. And that prize will be transferred as soon as we've got a check big enough to make such a transaction. So let's introduce our commanders quickly this time. The Americans have made their headquarters in the south, and there's only one person willing to lead this ragtag full of bad soldiers. And that's bad in a good way. It's Howard123. If we adventure to the north, you might find the Wehrmacht have established their base of operations. Please route all your communications through their commander, Lidledede. We're back on road to Tunis. Now, disclaimer, this map has a lighting glitch in it, but as you will see at the start of these videos posted online or maybe in the deep web, the graphics and sounds are not final, and we've already seen amazing improvements to maps, vehicles, and units. So please bear that in mind whilst watching and look for more updated information or videos on this channel. As far as gameplay is solid, and this could also be the last opportunity in this mini tournament to try and explain a few things about the US or Wehrmacht, things that we haven't seen, things that we will hopefully see. We've not seen the US Jeep, which has recon abilities and provides rate of fire bonuses to nearby troops. We've not seen Grenadiers using their merge mechanic. There's been no mortar or medic bunkers or machine gun bunkers. There is just so much more that isn't on display or simply can't be shown in just 3 matches. This game has a lot of depth to it and a lot of love. So, if you're going to be playing Company of Heroes 3, or just interested, then come along to the Ironcast Discord. Our goal is to help you enjoy an astonishingly good tactical and strategical game. It's very easy to get started, and, well, you've probably heard the pitch before in the other matches. A reminder about the Ironcast promo code. Relic said that they will deliver one full family member back into my household for every 100 times the promo code is used. What an absolute steal! Lidledede, I see what they're doing here. They are using a thing called memory. They know last time on Road to Tunis, Howard was fond of that trench. It's a nice trench. They've sent their Grenadiers along the edge of the map, I think to try and get a drop on Howard capping the fuel point, but Howard was already there. Pioneers, instead, will go to the cutoff point, which will deny all the resources just above that point, the fuel and the ammo. Howard falls back from the heavy wall. The directional heavy cover didn't seem to be providing them the protection they desired from the Grenadiers shooting at that angle. But Howard's gone for more of a focus on the victory points. Getting a fast early 3 cap can create quite the handicap, as we've already seen. Lidledede concentrating on resource control, and their Kettenkrad again with the communication cables dedicated to taking territory for the additional resources granted. Howard advancing in the west, or rather the bottom side of the map. I really do wish that the north was always by default at the top of the map when you load in. Using compass directions doesn't feel very useful to observers. Ooh, here we go, a machine gun dropped in. Howard went for the airborne battle group. They took the airdropped machine gun instead of the Pathfinders. Usually, you see the machine gun skydiving full speed into one of the buildings in the middle. However, I know full well during practices, both Lidledede and Kerpel, who is playing the Deutsche Afrika Corps in this tournament, they learned to play around it. They expected it. If you heard a plane at the start, you know there's going to be a machine gun in one of 3 places, basically. So Howard's trying something different to catch Lidledede off guard. It's worked, and this is pretty awesome. This is evolution. This is what happens with best of formats. Grenadiers deciding not to flank the MG, heading back to the cutoff point. Now, Company of Heroes operates on a few different levels. At the very minuscule level, you might, for example, see your opponent favoring or leaning on support weapons, relying on getting certain fast vehicles out. On the middle ground level, grenades away on the scout squad. Oof, that's rough, but it could be worse. Yeah, it can't be any worse for the scouts now. So on a middle ground level, it's about the battle groups that they have and their strategic approach to a map. Do they focus on cutoffs? Are they reliant on fuel or ammo in relation to their battle groups? Then you've got the macro scale, which is between multiple matches. You're incorporating player history, absorbing any events that have occurred in the previous games. Small things like any patterns you've spotted, where they mine or play sandbags, general personality things like whether they tend to be aggressive or defensive early game. How do they handle engagements in multiple locations? What's their skill like in that regard? What's their tendency to dodge grenades? Because you don't want to be just keep chucking grenades out when you know they're going to be dodged. Although sometimes that's still useful because, say for example, you want to get a unit out of a building, you can still chuck a grenade in the building, even if it doesn't kill the thing inside or even do any damage. You get them out of the building. It's the same with heavy cover. Heavy cover is very valuable. So throwing a grenade to force a squad to have to move might give you enough time to then take that cover away from them. We've got heavy cover battles just south of the middle victory point now, in fact. Grenadiers getting some backup from a Pioneer squad. At the top side, Howard repositioned their machine gun to cover the victory point, laying a trap for the Grenadiers. Worked fabulously. Flamethrowers torching the rifles. Howard moves them away from the heavy cover, reducing the damage they're taking from that fire. Now we're just out of range of the Grenadiers as well, so they're going to have to move up, take the wall grenade away on the Pioneers. Ooh. Are they going to get away? Yeah, retreat commencing. New rifle squad takes position behind the truck, and it is a heavy cover battle. But Lidledede is moving their Grenadiers around to negate that cover. Excellent flanks. I just saw that Lidledede got a Flak 30 anti-aircraft gun. Now, this decision, is it because they are up against airborne, so having some anti-air would be good? Or is it because they just wanted it against infantry? Or maybe just because they want to show us something different? Maybe all of the above. I really hope it is because they intend to shoot down some planes, though. The airborne reinforcements ability is a very powerful ability. You can reinforce squads on the field, anywhere on the map at all, without costing manpower. But if you've got some anti-air, then there's a risk in doing that, isn't there? I actually don't know because I've not seen it happen. I'm just kind of assuming that's how it works. It seems logical to me. Howard called in another machine gun, so we've got double machine gun micro. Positioning will be very important. As for Lidledede, still emphasizing mobility. They've got a Jaeger squad out now. Kettenkrad trying to sneak along the top border. Again, the Flak 30 overlooking the victory point. Now that anti-aircraft gun is going to be far more potent than any machine gun that Howard has. Lidledede, I think, trying to find out where that MG is. A little bit of recon makes a hell of a difference. Scooting it around, we've got an attack on the middle. Jaeger's backed up by a flamethrower squad running straight into that second machine gun. Grenade away. It's so perfect. Extremely well played by Howard. The search for the MG at the top is a success, though. Grenadiers trying to get around. End up meeting a rifle squad. Flak 30 fires into the machine gun and, as expected, yields terrific results. Second squad of Grenadiers advances, lobbing a grenade behind the truck. Rifle squad ends up retreating as the Grenadiers now take the victory point. We're approaching 10 minutes. Lidledede's got a second Jaeger squad. As for Howard, they went for a weapons support center. I kind of thought you would skip getting that if you had the airdropped machine guns. Maybe they want to get a half track. Seems to be quite a popular choice in this mini tournament. What Howard needs is something that can oppose or helps them with that flak. A mortar could do it. It could just bombard it or smoke it out of the way. You could just snipe the crew if you wanted a challenge. Howard's got control of the middle victory point. Lidledede with no presence spot side of the map, so Howard's taking that too. Grenadiers and Jaegers working to try and dislodge Howard's units from the area around that large building on the south side of the road, using smoke grenades to blind the building. In fact, Lidledede is pulling even more forces, and even the flak 30 here. Sitting, firing across the road, grenades on the Jaegers. Hard retreat for them, high-fiving a second wave of Jaegers that'll take their place. But that MG is still inside the building, getting pounded by the flak 30. They'll have to leave soon, surely, but they've held on longer than Lidledede perhaps anticipated. They've done a great job. Pioneers with flamethrowers also loading that building with the MG in with deadly stuff. The MG becomes a victim and is lost on the battlefield. Mines going down for the Pioneers whilst they capture that +5 munitions. Kettenkrad hasn't been spotted. There's like a rifle squad right next to it. There we go. Now we can see it. Just peeping over the wall. Oh, grenade on the Pioneers! Oh, because they're building the mine, they take increased damage. Sat on top of each other. Grenade, instant kill. That is unfortunate for Lidledede, losing a flamethrower Pioneer squad. The arsenal increases for the Wehrmacht, adding a half-track to its ranks. If Lidledede wanted to, they could tow that flank 30 around, giving it as much combat time as possible. It's the most powerful tool they have, and being that mobile will keep Howard guessing. Currently, Lidledede advancing on the bottom victory point. Rifles have got the wall. Jaegers have got the truck. They've also got reinforcements. Aha! M16 half-track backing up the rifles. That, just like the flak 30, will shred infantry. More engagements going off at the cutoff point as well. Rifles getting grenaded. It's a good one. And Howard cautiously pulling that M16 half-track back whilst the Axis slowly push north of the road. Howard's got rifles in great positions. Lots of heavy cover usage. Machine gun firing on a Jaeger squad, but they're behind the wall, so they won't be suppressed. That Jaeger squad is all that's left of there. Both commanders having to flick up and down, up and down. Medic half-track supporting the Jaegers. Sticky grenade will encourage the driver to roll away. Strangely, the Jaegers are a full squad, but each member on the verge of death. Regardless, the Jaegers did a fantastic job stalling out the recapture of the strategic point. Fuel is in high demand for the US forces. Lidledede has twice the amount Howard has. Howard capturing the bottom victory point, so he'll have twice the amount of victory points Lidledede has. Both commanders have a similar size army and a similar makeup too. But because of that fuel difference, it would seem to me that Lidledede could have a serious advantage if they were to tech up, use that fuel, and field a tank. Howard seems complacent to just have the victory points. They won't even make an inquiry into the fuel right next to that bottom victory point. It's a small, short walk. Just decapping it would be good, and there's heavy cover to dart behind really quickly should you fall under attack. Howard's getting mines on that cutoff point for some security. And Lidledede separating out their squads, assigning them missions, creating 2 battalions. And based on their direction, that bottom victory point will get a frontal assault and potentially a flank from above. M16 engaging Grenadiers. That squad basically used as reconnaissance. Howard's revealed where their M16 is, which now Lidledede is bringing in another Grenadier squad and a Jaeger squad with Panzer Shreks. Howard does have their flank protected by at least one rifle squad, but now there's an 8-Rad on the field. The Allies need to rapidly deploy something to counter it. They've got a few options. 8-Rad goes to the middle, engages the rifle squad. Grenadiers getting close as well. Even the Flak 30's firing on them. There's crazy action all along the middle and bottom. Grenades into the crater. 8-Rad straight to the munitions point. Now here's an important lesson. By counter, it doesn't necessarily mean destroy. If Howard were to get just an AT bazooka team out here, it likely wouldn't destroy the 8-Rad, but it would at least make Lidledede give more attention to keeping their 8-Rad alive. Allies evacuate the area as Howard gets on the radio, orders a recon plane over the middle sector, and reveals quite a large area around it. 8-Rad moves up, shoots at the M16. Is the Flak 30 firing at the aircraft? I can't hear any shots being fired. Oh. Yeah, okay, there it is. Regardless, it did reveal a lot of action, a lot of movement going on from Lidledede. Howard sees it. They've got a Greyhound out here now, chasing away that 8-Rad. Oh, the 8-Rad drove over a mine! It doesn't get away, blown up, shot straight penetrating the rear. Great results for Howard as they push back out into midfield. M16 alive, fortunately, needs a tad bit of repairing, nothing major though. Lidledede lingering around the South Road compound. Oh, by the way, what would you call these areas anyway? You know, just north and south of the road. I like calling them compounds. It's not exactly a village, even though they definitely are residential buildings. With all of the soldiers running around, though, it ends up feeling like a compound. Back to the game, though. I always get sidetracked with these thoughts. Ooh, medic half-track pushing up. And they can use that wall to block line of sight. They could use that. Lidledede's not going to. Driving over, exploding ammo. Jaegers push forward, Grenadiers behind the wall, a rifle squad, Vet 2 surrounded. Smoke's causing a bit of vision obstruction. Makes things slightly difficult for Howard. Jaegers trying to fall back to the half-track to get reinforced on the field as the Grenadiers with a flamethrower take their place. Sure, why not? I think they picked that up just outside that domed building on the north side of the map. Or rather, the east side of the map if we go by compass. Flamethrower pioneers managed to flank the machine gun. But Howard did a great job just to pick the machine gun up, move it away, bring in a rifle squad to reinforce, and they deal with the flamethrower pioneers easily. Oh, here we go, Panzer IV on the field. How is Howard going to deal with this? They only have that Greyhound. Now, you know what? I like a challenge. I would happily go Greyhound into a Panzer IV, try that battle. But you got to use the mobility to your advantage. You'll probably need the speed of the road beneath your wheels. Fast and furious Vin Diesel driving to be able to get anything out of this. Couple it with a sticky grenade. Try and get an AT bazooka squad in. A little bit of a drive-by. You'll just have to utilize so much, so perfectly. Not even to kill that Panzer IV, just to technically kind of win that battle. Lidledede using that Panzer IV rather aggressively, trying to contain Howard inside their base, whilst they threaten a 3-cap. The Wehrmacht brace themselves for the Allies' advance. Howard's machine gun at the top trying to protect the VP, but is failing to do so. A rifle squad eating a gullet full of 20mm flak rounds. Better them than the paratroopers. And those paratroopers have recoilless rifles, good against the Panzer IV, but it's no longer here. It's not in this vicinity anymore. Aggressive flak positioning from Lidledede. Howard trying to shift out of its arc of fire. Brave paratroopers get behind the wall. Howard tosses a grenade onto the flak. The rifle squad go from the front, also tossing a grenade. The Flag 30 crew are still alive. I thought they had it. There's a medic truck nearby. That'll make some heal. Rifles move up to the wall. Battered and bruised. There's only 4 soldiers and not much reinforcements. Engineers sent to repair the M16. Get it back in operation. A fresh squad of riflemen ready to rotate in and take over from the old one. Now, Lidledede lost a few meters, but they're regrouping. Panzer IV bullying the machine gun. Wow, again, we see a squad with no health, but everyone is alive. They should get out. It's not the only squad that have an invisible bar of health. That rifle squad holding out from earlier, one whistle away from meeting their maker. Which, by the way, is Justin Dowdswell, CEO of Relic. Praise be! Howard's got it out for that flak. They're chasing it. But it scoots away relatively easily. Jaeger squad with the medic half-track, providing covering fire. Kettenkrad moves out of stealth, captures the fuel point. Pioneers laying down mines on it. Ooh, laying down mines in the trench area as well. Howard launching an operation in the northeast. Greyhound goes forward with paratroopers. There's plenty of anti-tank power here, but I'd highly recommend to viewers at home, lead with infantry first. Greyhound is ravaged. The first unit you send should always be the diversion, and infantry often make better diversions because you can retreat them. The paratroopers did excellent damage at range. A couple more volleys, 3 at most, would have claimed that bounty. Airdropping an AT behind the Panzer IV. Senses danger. It's maybe 1 shot away. Zips out of there. If Howard had dropped that AT gun at the same time as the start of this attack, it would have been a legendary move. It takes a long time for an airdropped unit to touch down, though. Lidledede almost had Howard confined to their base, but Howard broke out. Imprisonment begins in one's own mind. I think that's a quote from Baphomet. Howard didn't convince themselves they were stuck. They sought a way to break free from the chains of oppression, though they did lose a Greyhound in the process, and their situation hasn't improved all that much. And now they've got an AT gun to babysit too. Some people would consider that worse. They don't like the AT guns, and that AT gun being chased by grenadiers. They really, truly do always need a squad to babysit them. M16 trying to make itself useful. And we saw the Wehrmacht have their own special forces on the field, the Stoßtruppen. Haven't had much opportunity to see how strong they are, though, but they better be tough for a 4-man cell. I do apologize, I am probably butchering the pronunciation of so many of these things. If you want to jump into the Discord and shape my mouth for me, please do. I will not take offense. I still can't figure out if it's Jaeger or Jäger. I hear Jaeger a lot, but I have heard it as Jäger too. The Allies ain't good all day, so they say, and then be right. 30 points to get to, actually not 1, but 2 victory points. Now is the time to go savage like a barbarian. Pour your blood into the sand. Recklessly abandon fear. And I don't know why it came out Scottish. But it's going to take a lot for Howard to actually get to a victory point. Let alone 2 victory points. Lidledede stands their ground. Their resolve is crystalline. They won't even step out of the way for a grenade. It is victory for Lidledede. That's it. The best of 3 has been decided with a Wehrmacht triumph. I thought that was a pretty wicked best of 3. This game has incredible potential. Now, if you haven't already, go watch the other semi-finals match before progressing on to the finals. I'm trying to limit the spoilers as best as I can, and I'm going to take a mandatory tea and biscuits break before continuing as well. If you did enjoy this series, please leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts. I am capable of reading. Well, I'm not, but my secretary is, and I promise you she will read them. Alright then, I'll see you for the next semi-finals, or the finals, depending on where you go, and have fun. Ta-ta!